Hi, Cell Block 776. Just enjoying the day sitting out here in the nice sunshine. It's great weather out here. Got my scanner and my ham radio out here just listening, enjoying a good book. But recently I was on the American Preparedness Radio Network, 80 meter ham radio net. And that was just this weekend. They're every Sunday night. And Net Control does a topic every week. And this week's topic was, what are you doing to prepare to winterize for the oncoming winter here? It's about to get cold. What do they say on Game of Thrones? Winter is coming. And it was interesting to hear people from all over the, mainly the eastern half of the United States, talk about what they do in getting ready for cold weather. And some of them are already pretty cold. They've had several people report that they were dealing with snow flurries and a little snow already in some states. There were answers like, get your snow shovel and put it in your car. You might have to dig your way out. A bag of salt actually in the trunk of the car. Make sure you have supply of salt for your house. Some of the guys were talking about kerosene lamps when the power goes out, and it sometimes does, and checking your supplies. And this is a good reminder that this time of year, as the leaves are falling, and they're falling everywhere, they're trying to get into my water glass, so buy a little oak leaf. And they got pretty good ideas. Some of these people live in regions where they have snow and ice on a regular basis. Down here in Louisiana, it's very rare. We have rain, we have sleet, some hail, but usually it doesn't last too long and it's not very disruptive. But we often will lose power from storms and from ice, and you have to be prepared for these things. And there are a few simple things you can do. So let's look at some of these little things that I'm doing, just kind of getting a little more prepped and making sure I'm ready for the change in temperature here that's happening. One of the things I regularly talk about is rotating your gasoline storage. You store extra fuel, such as unleaded or diesel gasoline. It's good to rotate it regularly. And especially this time of year, the temperature's changing. May have a little condensation in there. Might need to go ahead and check your fuel reserve. Make sure it's okay. Go ahead and rotate it through your vehicles, whether it's through a tractor, your car or truck that you drive daily. And go ahead and get a reserve built back up with fresh fuel. And I don't use stabilizer. A lot of people like Stabil or other fuel stabilizers. I rotate my stuff regularly through my vehicle, so I don't add that. It doesn't get too stale because it's constantly going into the spare cans and then back into the car. Once you're done with all your fuel out of your jug, go ahead and throw it in the trunk or the back of your truck. Take it into town and refill it. Put it back in your storage area so that you have a good reserve should you need it. Should the roads get iced up, snowed in, and you need to use your vehicle as maybe a generator, or you need to run into town and the gas stations are blocked and you can't fuel up right away. This gives you another option, a little safety margin there. I spoke some about how a lot of answers involved what people are going to be carrying in their vehicles. Some of the good suggestions were, if your battery's going to go dead any time of the year, it's probably wintertime. Batteries don't like the cold weather. You're going to get stranded with a dead battery? No, that's not how we prep. Get a good set of jumper cables. Stick them in your car, have them available. If you have one of those battery jump boxes, keep it charged up, put it in the trunk, and that way you can jump your own car off without having to look for a good Samaritan or a friend to take care of that for you. Also, in my trunk, I keep other supplies in here. It's always a good idea to have a little car box of supplies that you can use in case you're stranded, in case there's a problem. I keep a plug-in 12-volt air compressor. This way, my tires go low if I've got a problem. I have a plug kit, and I can plug the tire if I get a nail in it, and then air it back up and keep going. Of course, duct tape. You always have to have duct tape. I keep a little water bottle in here to add water if I need to into something that's empty, and I can go ahead and throw some water in there if I need. Also, a little power steering fluid, a little jug of .3 brake fluid. I got some antifreeze here. I got a fire extinguisher in case I need a fire extinguisher. And I got a nice raincoat and a couple of cheap little ponchos here too. In case I'm caught out in the weather, need something to help stay warm and stay dry with. That'll do the job and make my life a little bit easier. So, put together a little car kit, keep it in the trunk of the car, and if you run into any difficulties, self-rescue. While we're in the trunk of the car, let's mention a couple other things. We talked about having a little car kit to repair the car. Now's a good time maybe to throw in a blanket or two, something to keep you warm in case you do break down, or if for some reason you get trapped out somewhere, the roads are iced, it's snowed over, you can't get home, at least you have a blanket, extra set of clothes, something that you can stay overnight at a friend's house or at work if necessary, and then return home later when the roads are clear. You don't know what's going to happen. You get a good sleet storm come in, tree limbs and power lines down everywhere. Might be simpler to hunker down where you're at. So having a few things may be accessible in the trunk of your car that you have with you, whether you're at work or out of town somewhere, make your life a little bit easier, and it won't be such an imposition on some people that might be willing to allow you to crash at their place or at work if necessary. And just a few things. Right now, the first thing I'm going to do, looking at, I have a nice little windbreaker, but I'm going to want a heavier coat. Make sure I've got my gloves in here also. And make sure I've just got a little warm kit. I'm going to put in a blanket and make sure I have something to wrap up in if I'm cold. Now's a good time to look at your get home bag, your bug out bag, whatever you call it, your bolt bag, and see if everything inside of it is current, if you need to add anything. Like right now, I've got jeans and shirt and stuff in here, but this time of year I want to go ahead and add some long johns. I want to add, you know, a little thermal base layer of underwear, something, because it's going to get cold out there. You want to make sure that you have maybe your blanket in here, maybe some extra thick wool socks to keep your feet warm. There's my canteen. This is my little shave kit. I've got my everything from little wet naps in here to shaving cream and toothpaste and stuff. That'll give me a little something to clean up with. Now's a good time to go through and find the stuff that's out of date. This 4MRE, this is a beef patty grill with caramel color added. That thing's been in there most of the summer. You know what? It's time to go ahead and chuck that. Find some other foods to put in there. After being in the hot trunk all summer, it's sell by date, it's sold by. Beef stew kit. Man, I wish I'd eaten that before. It's time to chuck that. Make sure, another thing I heard on the net, this is interesting, we don't deal with it too much, freezing temperatures down here, it doesn't really get that cold. In your bag you might store water. I've got some little ponies full of water in my kit. I go ahead and keep it in here at all times, have something to drink with my MREs that are out of date and I'll have to swap out. Make sure you have these to where if they do freeze up and bust, they're not going to mess up the rest of your kit. So maybe plan for freezing temperatures with your onboard storage or your water, and have maybe packaged differently, have them put somewhere else. Check your water filters that you have, make sure they're clean and cleared out, they don't freeze and they're not damaged. I was mentioning gloves, good work gloves, but also something to keep you warm. It's my first aid kit. I'll go through it, make sure Neosporin and stuff like that is in it. I've got tourniquets and quick clot and some other things in here. It's my little kit bag. It's separate from my pocket carry bag that I usually have with me. And I've got a good headlight. Now's a good time to check and make sure the thing turns on. Whoa, yeah, it does. Make sure the batteries still work on your headlight if you've got one in there, or flashlights in your kit. Always want a way to see what you're doing. Like I said, I've got everything from underwear to socks to blue jeans in here and a nice shirt. Even got some TP and another flashlight. But now's a good time to go ahead and get up in here and maybe add a sweater to your kit, add a couple of long johns, a thermal shirt maybe, your gloves, maybe a knit hat to put on so you're not cold and you keep your head warm. And throw in that blanket in here now. Your kit's going to get a little bigger, a little heavier, a little bulkier, but it'll be there when you need it when the weather turns cold. So think about your kit you might carry in your car and how you prepare for the wintertime with it. Start swapping your stuff out. Make sure your stuff's still good in it. Rotate out the bad stuff. Make sure your batteries are charged up and they're all right and everything works. Now's the time of year to get prepared, because when it's snowing, it's cold, and you pull this kit out and you need something, that's not the time to find out that you should have swapped it out 4 months ago. All right, we've looked in our car. We talked about gasoline, our car repair kits, and our personal bags, little personal bags of clothing and other supplies in the trunk of the car. Let's not forget about the house. Some of the good advice that came from the net this week, guys, we're talking about this is the time of year I go around and check everything around the house. Make sure all the weather stripping on the windows and doors is in place. One gentleman mentioned that he has a dog that comes in, and the way the dog gets his attention that it's time to come in is scratching at the door. And this tears up his weather stripping. So, good thing to start thinking about before it gets so cold that everyone's rushing off to the hardware store for pipe wrap and insulation and these other things. Now's the time to take care of it in the fall before it gets miserable. Find a good day, go around and start doing inventory. What kind of repairs do you need to do? And let's get them done. Look at the weather stripping on your door. My paint's all flaking off. This is the west side. It gets real hot and this metal door heats up. But I want to make sure that my windows are good, that they're not leaking, that my sliding glass door in this case looks all right. I got to do some screen repairs on that. That's mostly for keeping the mosquitoes out during the summer when I have the window open. So that's one of those projects I'm going to want to do before next summer when I open this up for circulation. But right now, check the weather stripping. Make sure everything's good. Look underneath your house if it's raised. Make sure all your pipes are wrapped and they're good for freezing weather. And if you need anything, now's the time to get it before everyone else is rushing off to the store and it's running out of stock. We've looked at the car, we looked at the outside of the house. Let's look at a couple other things real quick too. When you're prepping for wintertime, you have to worry about sleet, ice, snow, causing maybe roof damage, some damage to your house or other property like this shed. You want to go ahead and protect it. So now's time to make sure you got a good tarp, some good cordage and stuff. I've got a couple blue tarps. It's hurricane area, so definitely we have blue tarps thanks to the hurricanes. Also, look at other things. Look at your camp stove. This thing's been in and out of the box a few times. I've got a decent camp stove. It's got a little lantern with it too. And it takes regular old propane bottles that you can hook up to it. So this is a way to heat your food. When the power goes out, you want to eat. You might not be able to get out of the house. Might not be anywhere to go really. Everyone else is out of power. So you want to be able to heat your canned food, your beef stew, your ravioli, whatever. Having your camp stove ready is a good idea. So that brings up, where's the fuel for it? How many canisters of this propane do you have for your camp stove, for your lanterns, for what other items take the propane bottles like this? Go ahead and do an inventory right now. Count up how many you have. I've got about 6. I don't really use that much. Power doesn't go out very long here. Will 6 do me? Probably so for this winter. Do I want to get a few more? 3 or 4 more wouldn't hurt. So, but 6 is a good start for me. So I got plenty of propane on hand. Got my tarps. Got some air mattresses also. Here's another option is if you do have power and other people don't, they might, friends or relatives come to your house looking to shelter there. It's like, man, I haven't had a hot shower in 2 days because the lights are out of my house. They don't know when this is coming on. You invite them over. Let them crash on your couch. Or instead of crashing on your couch, maybe they need a little extra room. Give them an air mattress to lay on. Throw the sheets on it. Let them get a little comfortable. They can shelter at your house. The whole point is, you're not just prepping for yourself. Prep for your friends, for your neighbors, for your family. Help them out when you can. This is all about community. This is all about neighborhood. If you can help someone else along the way, do it, definitely. So your camp stove will make it a lot easier if you lose power. Other supplies, like extra sheets, extra blankets, maybe some air mattresses that you can throw down, they'll help out when the power goes out. And if you don't use them when the power goes out, of course there's still good camping supplies. You get your tent out, you go camping with the family, practice a little outdoor skills, get the sleeping bag out. That's another point. Do you have extra sleeping bags, blankets, or quilts for people that will show up? Have extra for yourself. Now's the time to check your linen closet make sure everything's clean. Wash it if not. Maybe do any repairs if there's holes in it or any problems with it. Throw it out and get new ones. So let's look at the linen closet now. Make sure you got everything you need. Maybe throw extra blankets on the bed. It's wintertime. You're going to need them. Time to start looking for them even when the snow's falling. Alright, so far we've talked about prepping for the cold weather. Your car, checking the outside of the house, having your camp stove, lanterns, whether you're using kerosene or propane. Make sure to worry about ventilation for that. Think about ventilation. You don't want to die in your sleep because you didn't leave a window cracked. And we talked about extra blankets and stuff. When the power goes out, you want an alternative means of generating electricity when you can. Now, there are a lot of alternatives. A lot of people do generators. I have a generator. Frankly, I've never used it. It's a good generator, and I got it on sale. It was brand new. Never been used. I have so many other options, and those options can include your car being your own generator. You've got a car in the driveway. Hopefully you've got plenty of fuel. You've gassed it up before there was an event, or you've got your fuel reserves and you keep it topped off. You can run an inverter from your car and run an extension cord in your house and run what you need. Let your car be your generator. That's always an option, and inverters are pretty inexpensive these days. Another option that a lot of people do is a battery backup system, which I have here. I have my charger here and batteries. And one of the things that a lot of people do, they want to keep them topped off. They'll have them hooked up to solar panels or other means of generating electricity. Keep the batteries topped off. They'll have them on a trickle charger. I haven't gone that far yet. I have a basic battery charger, and I have a little meter on the battery here, and it tells me the voltage. So I can look at it and go, okay, we're at 12.9. And when it gets down a little bit, close to 12, I'll go ahead and top it off. I'll plug it in for a couple hours, let the charger top it off. Go ahead, and now's a good time, this time of year. Do a little maintenance on your battery. Make sure all the terminals are clean. You got plenty of electrolyte in there. Check the electrolyte. Make sure that all your little plates in there are good, and you got a decent battery. If your battery has gone bad over the years, now's a good time to swap it out. Run down to the auto parts store, Walmart if you have to, and get yourself new batteries for your battery backup bank. While we're talking about batteries, your AA's and your AAA's, your D cells and other batteries, now might be a good time to go ahead and check your inventory. Make sure you've got enough to get you through. I might want to get some more. Be careful not to hoard batteries and get a whole bunch that you're not going to use regularly. I've seen people that'll get these multi-packs, stick them in a drawer, and a year later go in there looking for these batteries that they haven't used in a year, and they only need one for a lamp or a clock or something, battery backup for a wall clock. And they open it up, and the whole thing's corroded. Batteries have leaked and busted open, sitting there in the pack in their drawer. It hadn't been used in a year or two. So if you're going to use them, if you have appliances, flashlights, and stuff that need batteries, yes, get them. But don't just get them for the sake of having them. You're going to waste money, and the whole point is we're not wasting money. We want to think smart. We want to purchase wisely. So with a good battery backup system, I can sit here when the power goes out, have other options. You might be able to look around and see, well, what can I plug into a battery like this? Well, in my case, I'm a ham radio operator. I can plug my ham radio station into it. A lot of hams run their stations full-time, 24/7 off a battery bank. Another option, where it's talking about inverters for your car, you get one for your house. You don't even have to get a big one. This one actually plugs into a cigarette lighter. And I have an adapter here on the battery that is a female end for a cigarette lighter. It's a 12-volt cigarette lighter plug adapter. So I can sit here, plug this little inverter in. It's running. I can plug in a fan if it's, if I need some ventilation in the house. Now I got a fan blowing here. It can keep you cool if you need a little airflow in the house. Maybe you need a lamp. You need a little light in the house. So you plug in your little lamp. Now suddenly, boom, you've got light that you can see. Put in a little compact fluorescent light bulb. These things don't pull a lot of wattage. You can go ahead and leave it hooked to the battery. It'll go for a while. When you need to top the battery off, take it out to your car, hook it up to some jumper cables and run it for a while if necessary. run it into an inverter, whatever you need to do, and keep it charged up. Now might be a good time to think about upgrading if you don't have that solar panel system that I was talking about. Maybe go ahead and get a solar panel. Get a means to charge this thing up when the power is out. So here I am sitting on the floor playing with my battery backup system, but I'm going to go ahead and top it off here in a little bit and make sure it's good and at 13 volts and everyone's happy. And if I do need it, I have an alternative means of electricity here in the house to run lamps, fans, other small appliances, even my radios if necessary. If you don't have a battery backup bank, think about it. A couple deep cycle marine batteries, a charger, and you can actually make your life a lot easier when the power goes out. Alright, while we're talking about winterizing everything, let's look at our food and water stores. Make sure that everything's ready to go for the winter. When the power goes out, pipelines bust down the street and water goes out, or you just need to flush the toilet. You know you need water, you know you're going to need food. Make sure your pantry's well supplied so you can use that camp stove and your propane to heat something up with. It can be simple. This little camp food, little kids canned food. It can be Chef Boyardee stuff like lasagna or spaghetti and meatballs. Little soup, stuff like that. We've got different brands here from Diddy Moore to Campbell's to Progresso. Watch it, high in sodium. You want to be careful with that. Don't add salt to these. There's more than enough already in them. So be safe with them. A lot of people depend on those little packs, little bottles of bottled water they pick up in the store and bring home. They put in their lunchbox and stuff. That's pretty good for a short time. It works out for most people. That's good. If you want to prep for a little longer term, more difficult times, maybe a longer period without water or power, anything. Maybe you have a pump outside to a well and it breaks down on you and you're stuck without being able to run the water taps in your sink. Yes, have some of this, but have another way to store water. Old Coke bottles, old soda bottles, it's a good way that a lot of people do it. I advise against using milk jugs. The plastic that milk jugs come in normally is designed to break down, to biodegrade in landfills. You store them on your shelf, you come back a few months later to check on your supply, you find half the bottles have busted, water's run everywhere, now you've got water damage in your pantry. Don't use milk jugs, the plastic isn't really good for that. 2-liter bottles, if your family drinks sodas, well, yeah, I've given them up trying to get this diet going, but in my old life, I had plenty. You know friends that drink 2-liter soda bottles. You know them, go to their house, talk with them, say, look, don't throw your bottles away, pass them on to me. You get them, you rinse them out real well, and you go ahead and store them in your pantry. Now, like stabilizer for fuel, a lot of people say, I go ahead and put a little bit of bleach in my water before I store it. That's fine. Frankly, I rotate mine out every 6 months or so, sort of like batteries in your smoke detector. Go ahead and rotate the water out regularly. It'll stay fresher. Don't have to worry about adding bleach and other stuff to it. That's really not necessary if you rotate yours out pretty regularly. So it's as simple as just go ahead, empty it out. Go ahead, give it a good shake out. Clean that bottle out a little bit. Maybe add a little bit of bleach to the rinse. And then fill it back up and put it back into your storage. That way, when the power goes out, when the water lines bust, you've got water you can go to for cooking, for cleaning up, and for drinking if necessary. Now might also be a good time, you saw I have a couple water filters there in my bag in the trunk of the car. Maybe look at getting a countertop filter, one of these Berkey water filters or something similar that you can pour water in that you're not quite sure about. Maybe there was some line contamination from your tap later. You don't trust the water coming out of your tap. You don't want to cook with it. Put it through a Berkey filter if you have one. Run it through that filter and that's what you drink and that's what you use to cook with. For cleaning up, for things like bathing, washing, hygiene is very important. You might not want to use your little bottle storage here. Look at a larger container, maybe like a 5-gallon tote like this is, and go ahead and rinse it out, clean it out, fill it up. It might not necessarily be your potable water that you're going to be drinking and cooking with, but it's something that if you need to drink it, you have an option. but it's mostly there for hygiene, for helping maybe to fill the reservoir on the toilet so you can flush it after people have gone potty. And it gives you another option. A couple of these, not very expensive. You fill them up, you stick them in a closet somewhere. They're there if you need them. When you're rotating out your water supply, go ahead and empty these out. Clean them up real good. I wiped it down, got a little dusty. It's just cosmetic really. I'm going to fill it back up and have it back in the corner of the closet if I need it, should power go out. Also, we want to look at getting any more. If you've emptied them out and you think that's not enough, now's a good time to look at, okay, it's going to be a long winter, let's go ahead and get some more canned food. Go to the store, pick up stuff that you're going to eat. If your family doesn't like it, they're not going to like it during a disaster or when the power's out, or just when they're miserable at home and they can't even play their Xbox. You're not going to force them to eat stuff that they don't normally want to eat anyway. So now's the time to go ahead and look at what they're eating and what you can store away. It helps with a little household harmony. Good idea also here is look at board games and things like that. When that Xbox goes out because the power's out, you're not going to have electricity to run the TV. Computers are starting to go dead. You try to keep them charged off your battery bank or your car. Maybe an option would be to get a Monopoly game, Yahtzee, something like that, and bring it out. Board games, card games, stuff like that. Have that in the closet with your big cans of water. Back on water real quick, I know a lot of people will say, you know, that's good for a small household. I want a little bit more water. There are some people that actually have systems to catch rainwater. They run their gutter system to a pipe, and as the water comes off their roof into the gutter in the pipe, it runs into catchment containers, big 55-gallon drums or other containers, and they have it there if they need to water their garden with it. They need to use it for flushing the toilets or showering or something like that. That's an option. Think about that if you want to go ahead and bring your preps up to a little higher level. Personally, I haven't gone that far. I live in South Louisiana. We got plenty of water. So far, in most emergencies that I've been in, hurricanes, ice, whatever, we really haven't lost power that long. We hadn't had water go out that long. This is more than enough for what I need. So I'm going to empty all these bottles, rotate that out, make sure that all my cans are up to date, maybe have a little dinners, a little ditty more dinners later on. And this is just something to be thinking about for your preps. Let's talk about one more thing while we're in the kitchen talking about our own food and water supplies, and that's our pets. You might have a dog, cat, guinea pig, a boxer turtle, who knows, even fish in an aquarium. You have to think about your pets. You're getting ready for wintertime. You got your water, you got your car taken care of, you've insulated the house. When the power goes out, you're stuck at home and you can't get out the driveway, you're going to be feeding yourself. You've got all your canned goods and your water there. What about your pets? What are they eating? Just like I said, you don't want to be feeding your kids stuff that they're not used to eating in an emergency. They're not going to tolerate it well. They might not like it and don't want to eat. Now's not the time to be trying to feed your dog, your cat, your guinea pig, whatever, scraps or what you're eating and stuff and messing up its digestive system. Plan for this. Go ahead and buy extra cat food, dog food, guinea pig food, goldfish food, whatever. Make sure that you have a place where they can go. If they use a litter box, make sure you stock extra litter and a can maybe to put it in until you can get it outside or throw it away, whatever you do with it to get rid of it. My cats now are used to going outside, pooping and peeing in the grass. Cold comes along, everything's iced over, it's going to be difficult to get them out there. They end up peeing in a corner somewhere because they don't want to go outside. You might want to go ahead and plan for a litter box, some litter or something like that. You're going to have to plan around your pets. You can't just leave them out of the equation. So think about that. You plan for yourself and your family, your kids, your relatives if they come over. You might have to worry about pets if you have them. So go ahead and have extra supplies. Make sure they got a water bowl, food bowl and everything for them where they normally eat. And just keep the routine as normal as possible. Because your kids are stressing, your family is stressing. Your pets are going to stress too. So take care of them, think about them, and include them in your planning. Make sure to have little treats for them, and try to make it as less stressful as possible on them, just like you would if your kids are your other family members, because they are part of your family. Your pets are family members. You treat them that way, you treat them good. If you're not considering taking care of your pets, you think, well, they can go hunt, you're not worried about them, you're really not the kind of person I want to associate with. If you're that kind of person, if you just don't care about your animals, man, you've got issues. You need to work them out. Maybe you need to go see someone to lay on a couch and talk them out. Maybe you got daddy or mommy issues. Maybe they beat you with a belt or something as a kid, and this is how you deal with animals in your life. Maybe you shouldn't even have any. That's a whole nother rant for a whole nother time. Thanks for watching. This has been Cell Block 776 saying, as always, keep training, keep learning, and keep watching.